Mr. Cole? Yes, the jury's coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, you may be seated. Jefferson County Court at law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and calls number M330658. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Cody Clinton Williams. Let the record reflect that Mr. Williams is present in court with his attorney.
Your Honor, we don't missing a juror.
Something else.
I apologize. Your turn.
Jefferson County Court at law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and calls number M330658. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Cody Clinton Williams. Let the record reflect that Mr. Williams is present in court with his attorney, Attorney Giles Cole. The state is present with Assistant District Attorney's Attorney Haley Simmons and Attorney Kyle Gasper. Let the record reflect that the jury is now present and seated in the courtroom. State, are you ready?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Defense, are you ready?
This is ready, Your Honor.
At this time, Ms. Simmons, you'd like to present the information. Mr. Williams, you and your attorney can stand. Ms. Simmons, you may present the information.
In the name and by authority of the state of Texas comes now the undersigned Assistant Criminal District Attorney of Jefferson County, Texas, on behalf of the state of Texas, and presents into the County Court of Law of Jefferson County, Texas, that in Jefferson County, Texas, Cody Clinton Williams, hereafter styled the defendant, heretofore on or about July 13th, 2021, did then and there operate a motor vehicle in a public place in Jefferson County, Texas, while the said defendant was intoxicated. It is further presented in and to said court that at the time performing an analysis of a specimen of the defendant's blood, the analysis showed an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more against the peace and dignity of the state.
And Mr. Williams, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, no contest? Okay, you may be seated. State, would you like to have an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Good afternoon. I didn't get the chance to formally speak with y'all yesterday, but again, my name is Haley Simmons. Two things happen usually when you get that jury summons in the mail, and it's usually like, why me? Or two, I'm happy to be here. And I would know if I actually got in the mail that day. So with that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. We look forward to presenting this case to you, and we look forward to your undivided attention. So she's going to put some elements on the screen for me momentarily. There we are. Can everybody see those? All right, it's a little checklist I'm going to give you today. Opening is not the time to argue. It's pretty much just a time for me to kind of give you a summary of what I anticipate the evidence is going to show and what you can expect to see throughout this trial. These are the elements that I have to prove. And probably by the end of today or whenever we close and rest, you'll be tired of hearing either myself or the defense say beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's fair. So my burden and that I have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt does not just start with one element. It starts with all. That is defendant Cody Clinton Williams on or about July 13th, 2021 in Jefferson County, Texas, did operate a motor vehicle in a public place while intoxicated. And the state's burden will also be to prove that the alcohol concentration was greater than 0.15 or more. What does that mean? All the evidence, you're going to get to hear it before you. You're going to hear from three people today. You're going to hear from Michael Ayler. Michael Ayler is a lay witness that's going to come in and testify before you today. He'll be the first one on the stand. I anticipate he's going to tell you he was leaving work from Louisiana, driving into Texas, where he observed a driver driving so unsafe that he felt the need to call in dispatch. Why would we do that? Why would some random person on the road feel the need to call dispatch? Public safety. Heard about it yesterday from Ms. Gasper. accountability, deterrence, public safety. Michael Ayler felt so strong about what he saw that he called dispatch. He stayed on scene until Officer Bradley Broussard arrived. Bradley Broussard will come in and testify upon arrival. He approaches the vehicle and he sees the defendant, Cody Clinton Williams, in the vehicle. Not only does he see that, but I anticipate evidence will show he's going to see a lot of open containers in that vehicle as well. Officer Broussard asked, do you want to conduct standardized field sobriety test? You're probably going to hear us say synonymously SFSTs. That's just the short term for that. Defendant refuses. Evidence will further show that he asked for a specimen of his blood. Defendant refuses. Blood warrant is obtained, signed by the judge. We're going to have Joanna Castaneda. She's driving in from Houston today. She's going to be the last one to testify. She was a blood forensic expert analyst. She did the testing on the blood. She's going to be able to testify to you the results being greater than 0.15. So as we're going through trial today, I'm going to ask for your undivided attention. Oral testimony is evidence. The exhibits, body worn camera, 911 dispatch call, those are all evidence. Pay close attention. I have to meet my burden beyond a reasonable doubt. Told you I'm going to hear it a lot. Each and every single element. One thing I kind of want to touch base on real quick before we get started, and again, pay attention to this, is intoxication. We have to prove up intoxication. Kyle Gasper, she did a great job yesterday telling you the 3 ways in which one can be intoxicated. We don't have to prove all 3, just one. I anticipate the evidence is going to show you that we will prove that. But keep in mind when you do go back later on to deliberate, you need not all agree on what method in which the state proved up intoxication. You just need to all agree that the state met their burden in proving intoxication. So on behalf of Kyle and myself, and I'm sure defense as well, we look forward to presenting this case to you. Thank you.
Let's go.
How's everyone going? They have a heavy burden. Because the key phrase in there is operate. They got to prove that he was operating that vehicle, I'm sure. Pretty positive that you observed the evidence that's been submitted today. And you'll realize that Cody Williams was not operating that vehicle. Cody Williams had left worked 12-hour shift. And that driver that observed him swerving, gave their testimony today that hell, if you work 12, 13 hours, he got a little tired. And that's why he pulled over, to get him some rest. He done the responsible thing, because he realized that he was falling asleep on the road. And he picked the safest place he could to pull over, because he was on his way to a fishing trip. Fishing trip didn't work out. And instead of going fishing, he went to jail, because he pulled over to get some rest. So I look forward to them presenting their side, and we're going to present our side and let you guys decide. See you soon. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Simmons, you'd like to call your first witness? Michael Ayler. Mr. Ayler, would you please come forward for the bench? Mr. Ayler, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Ayler, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Mr. Ayler, you may put your hand down. You can have a seat in that chair.
I'm fine.
Get comfortable real quick.
Thank you.
Comfortable?
Yes.
Ms. Simmons, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, just for the jury, can you go ahead and state your name for me?
Michael Taylor.
All right, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. You nervous to be here?
Well, understandably so.
I'm gonna kind of bring you back to a date and time. Does the day of July 13th, 2021 ring a bell to you?
Yes.
And can you tell me, just in a very brief sentence, why that day is significant to you?
So I was leaving work that day, and witnessed, someone driving erratically and, pulled over to the side of the road, decided to make a 911 phone call, and, that's the short of it.
Is that why you're here today?
That is why I'm here today.
Okay. Just to kind of go back to that, you said you were leaving work.
That's correct.
Okay. Where did you work?
I was working at Chenier, in Cameron, Louisiana.
So when you were leaving Louisiana, did it require you to come into, where at were you coming into Texas?
So Chenier is only about 3 or 4 miles on the Louisiana side, so I had left there and I was coming over the Causeway Bridge.
Okay. And whenever you come over that Causeway Bridge, does that bring you back into Jefferson County?
It does,
Okay. How often did you travel that way?
daily.
Daily? So you were pretty familiar with the location of where you were.
I would say so.
Can you tell me at what point in time you observed this vehicle driving erratically?
So, because of the bridge has, most bridges have a rise in them, of course. I had come over the top in the middle of the bridge. And then, I was able to see, a car driving erratically at the bottom of the bridge.
Okay. When you say driving erratically, can you kind of summarize to the jury exactly what you were seeing or how they were driving, what type of behavior?
Okay, so whenever after I came over the top of the bridge, I was starting to come back down. And that bridge has a very shallow right-hand corner at the bottom of the bridge. And I saw a vehicle dart into the other lane about halfway and nearly hit another oncoming vehicle. The bridge right there is not very wide, so the other vehicle had to really avoid. And then the car got swerved back, kind of got back into its own lane and was just kind of.
I'm gonna stop you right there. When you say that car, are you referring to the car that you had called in on?
Oh, that's correct.
Okay. What did the car look like?
It was a white 4-door little small sedan.
Just a little white motor vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. At that point in time, what did you decide to do?
I decided to pull over, because it was obviously that, there was some kind of issue there. So I pulled over, turned on my emergency hazards and, made a 911 call.
You made the 911 call after you pulled over, or did you make it as you were witnessing everything?
Well, it was at the same, within 30 seconds of each other, I guess.
It was during the events taking place?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you decided to call police. What was your emotional state at the time?
Well, after nearly seeing a collision, I was pretty upset.
Were you excited?
Yeah, I would say excited,
And for the jury, just to clarify, I don't mean excited in terms of I'm happy to be here, but excited under the stress of the events.
oh, yeah, absolutely. When you see something like that, it definitely.
Kind of opens your eyes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what were you concerned about on this dispatch call? What made you feel the need to call?
Well, because, anytime there's a motor vehicle that almost has a collision with another vehicle, then, and you see erratic driving behavior, then you need to, I think it's prudent to make a call.
Was your concern public safety at that point?
Yes, absolutely.
And when you're on the phone with dispatch, I'm just going to ask, were you under the stress of excitement due to the events portraying in front of you?
Yeah, I would definitely say I was rattled.
Okay. And let me ask you this, where was the driver in relation to you as you're making this phone call?
So whenever I was behind the vehicle, probably 6 or 8 cars between us.
Okay.
best I can remember. And, whenever I pulled off to the side of the road, I had witnessed the vehicle pulling into a driveway and just stopped. And so I pulled past that driveway, probably 100 or so yards. Pulled over to the side of the road, turned on my emergency flashers, and then made a phone call.
So the entirety of the time you were in a reasonable position to see all of the events taking
Oh,
place? Perfect. And you were presently describing all the events taking place to 911 dispatch?
That's correct.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna mark this real quick. I have a couple questions for you. I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. You recognize this?
I do.
Can you tell me what it is?
There's a flasher out of the 911 call.
Okay. Is that your voice on the 911 call?
It is.
Did you have a chance to listen to it before trial today?
I did.
Were there any alterations to your knowledge?
No.
Your Honor, I'm gonna tender this to defense for inspection.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to object, Your Honor.
Okay, what's your objection?
I'm gonna object this is hearsay. Probative value of that. Substantial rate, right?
Okay, objection sustained.
Your Honor, may I respond to that?
Yes.
We did lay the proper predicate for excited utterance as well as the present sense impression. Furthermore, this is a 911 dispatch call. Crawford doesn't apply. It was non-testimonial in nature.
Okay, well, objection overruled.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
We're gonna play that 911 call we just spoke about, okay?
There's a car, it's, I am on Highway 82, almost to Cameron. Just on this side of the Walter Oak State Park. There's a car, they just pulled into a house. I don't know if they're gonna get back on or not, Louisiana plate. And driving all over the road. What kind of vehicle is it? It looks like a. Let me back up here, maybe I can see them. But they were extremely all over the road. Were you coming from Louisiana or were you coming from Texas? Yeah, coming from Louisiana? Okay, and they, I don't know if they're having a medical emergency or what the deal is. Louisiana plate is a Ford Focus 645 E, looks like an IR. And they pulled up here into a residence up at the gate and just stopped, didn't even go in. I'm not sure what the deal is. Ford Focus, what color? White. The 645 ER, what? EIR. Yes, it's exactly, male, female, how many in the vehicle, documented with us, can't see. Yeah. Next up on my call, Michael Ayler. Michael, or AYLOR. And as of right now, they are at a residence, I'm trying to get you a house number. The house is actually for sale. It is, my goodness, I wish I could tell you. Almost, it's about a mile from Walter Oak State Park. It is, well, it's a gray, a light brown house with a, blah, 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 aqua colored metal roof. Light brown house with aqua colored roof. Yes. Do you want to copy out there, no? Are you gonna be able to copy out there? Yeah, I think I can get out here. That doesn't matter to me. Now, you know what I need to do? If you wanna hang around, talk to the officer, then I can be making open, you will be, if not, I'll see if I can go down and find the vehicle. I can hang around, I just wanna make sure that, I need for them to get back on the road if they're having a medical emergency or something. What kind of vehicle do you use? I come in a maroon, older model Chevy Impala.
Yes.
Thank you, John. That was your voice on the 911 dispatch call,
Yes, it was.
and that's everything you testified to today?
Yes.
Okay. How did that make you feel going back and hearing it almost 4 years later?
I didn't realize, I guess at the time, how upset I really was. You can definitely hear it in my voice. I was more upset than I thought I was.
Thank you, Mr. Ayler. I'm gonna go ahead and pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Cole?
How you doing, Mr. Taylor?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. By the way, your dress mighty sharp.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Really looking forward to that. You just testified that he swerved one time into a lane and almost hit me from the car. Is that correct?
Now, I wouldn't say he swerved one time. There was one time definitely that upset me when I could see him at the bottom of the bridge. He didn't make the corner. So he kind of, we usually call it like straightening out the corner instead of making the corner. He went straight and then pulled, came back over into the side and then was, just bobbing and weaving, you would say, kind of just all over the road.
You say you were 8 cars behind.
Uh-huh.
8 cars back. Were there any other white
Well,
vehicles on the road?
I don't know if it was exactly 8 cars because who remembers minor details like that?
I got you.
I don't remember what kind of car I parked beside in the parking lot. Traffic was very heavy because of everybody getting off
Let me
work.
rephrase that then. There were
Sure.
quite a few cars ahead of you.
Oh, yes, sir. I would say yes.
And you're coming up from the top of the bridge, is that right, going down?
That's
When you
correct.
observed this?
Mhm.
Okay. And you also couldn't tell who was in the vehicle.
No, the windows were extremely dark.
All right. No question for this witness, right?
Okay, state.
Brief redirect, Your Honor. Okay. Causeway Bridge, you said it earlier yourself, bridges go up in nature,
That's correct.
okay? You said the vehicle was down below,
Yeah, so I could see the top of every vehicle in line in front of me.
and you made the dispatch call, you stayed on the phone with them the entirety of the time, is that correct?
Yes, and I stayed, whenever I pulled over, I was like 100, maybe 75 yards. And I was just able to look in my rear view mirror and my side mirror, and I was checking to see if anybody got out of the vehicle or anything like that, and didn't see it. Vehicle just stayed there and stopped, and nothing happened until officers arrived.
So from the time you saw this vehicle, the white vehicle you
Mhm.
testified to at the top of the bridge and you're elevated at the bottom, it was in your direct line of sight up until it had stopped, at which you remained with it.
Oh, absolutely.
That vehicle never left your sight?
No,
It was the same vehicle?
same vehicle.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Cole?
From the time you observed him allegedly swerve, he pulled over into that yard, what, 1 or 2 minutes later? How long would you say that was?
I would say maybe a minute.
No further questions.
State.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, may this, you have any further questions?
No, yeah.
May this witness be excused? Okay, Mr. Ayler, thank you for coming down here and testifying in this case. You are excused, and you have a blessed day. State you can call your next witness.
State calls Officer Bradley Broussard to the stand.
Officer Bradley Broussard. Mr. Broussard, would you please come forward? Mr. Broussard, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Broussard, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. You may take the witness stand and adjust the mic. Ms. Gasper, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Officer Broussard. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Please state your full name for the record.
Bradley Joseph Broussard
And how are you employed?
by the Port Arthur Police Department.
How long have you been employed by the Port Arthur Police Department?
3.5 years.
And are you a certified peace officer?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Have you been at the Port Arthur Police Department for the entirety of your career?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you explain to the jury a little bit about your training experience, your training to get to be a certified peace officer?
I had about 6 months of police academy training. And then another 6 months of on-the-job training.
And were you working on July 13th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you finished your police academy training at that point?
Yes.
Did you receive a call on July 13th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time of day was this?
About 4 o'clock-ish
Would that be 4 PM or AM?
PM.
And where did that call take you?
That took me to the 3800 block of South MLK Drive.
And that in Jefferson County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
And just briefly for the jury, could you describe where the county line is in Jefferson County, Texas?
So how MLK Drive works, Port Arthur has jurisdiction from the Sabine Pass Bridge all the way to the Causeway Bridge, heading to Louisiana.
And jurisdiction means that you would be within the county of Jefferson limits.
Yes, ma'am.
And this call was within those limits.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you in your uniform and in a marked patrol unit when you arrived to that scene?
Yes, ma'am, always.
What did you see when you first arrived?
When me and my partner arrived, we had saw a white, passenger car, parked in a grassy area off the road, running, and a white male, asleep at the wheel.
And was the male that was asleep, was he in the driver's side,
Yes, ma'am.
in the driver's seat?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you see that driver of the car in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
And would that be Cody Clinton Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you identify that driver and point out an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He's wearing a brownish tan jacket.
Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant. You may proceed.
So when you first observed that car, you said that it was parked. Was it in, what type of area was it parked in? Was it on a major street? Was it off the street? Where exactly was it?
It was off the street in front of a residential gate, I believe.
And did you approach the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
When you approached the vehicle, did you observe anything at that point?
Yes, I observed a white male asleep at the wheel. I began knocking on the window, attempting to wake him up.
And did the driver respond to this?
Yes, after a couple knocks, he did.
And what happened at that point?
I asked him to roll the windows down, which he complied with. Um, I observed, some beer cans in the car, and then I asked him to step out.
Was there anybody else in the car with him?
No, ma'am.
Why did you ask the driver to get out of the car?
Because the car was still running, so for officer safety purposes, I didn't want him to try to take off or anything like that.
And is that pretty standard procedure?
Yes, ma'am.
How did he exit the car?
He took, one half step out of the vehicle, then stumbled and then leaned back against the car to, right himself up.
At this point in your investigation, was the driver under arrest?
No, ma'am.
Did you have any suspicions at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do next?
I had him step at the, get to the back of the vehicle so I could continue my investigation.
And what did you do next in your investigation?
I patted him down and began asking him a series of questions.
Could you describe to the jury a little bit what types of questions you were asking him at this point?
I asked him where he was headed to. He told me that he was heading to Louisiana from Port Arthur. Asked him if he had anything to drink. He stated no. And then I believe I got his name and his date of birth.
Did he have a driver's license?
I don't believe he did.
And at this point in your investigation, how did you proceed?
I asked him,
Would it reviewing a copy of your report refresh your memory?
yes,
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes,
Showing you a copy of your report, you're feel free to run through it and let me know when your memory is refreshed. At this point in your investigation, how did you proceed?
I noticed the smell of an alcoholic beverage coming from him. And I believed he was under the influence of, an intoxicating substance.
And would that be something with your training and experience that would lead you to believe that at this point?
Yes, ma'am. So in the police academy, we take a 1-week course of, standard field sobriety testing.
You mentioned standard field sobriety testing. Did you ask to perform those tests?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the response?
He said, no, he would not take the test.
And at this point, what do you do after someone refuses such types of tests?
You arrest them if they refuse to take the test.
And is this standard protocol for what you do at your job?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, may I approach?
yes, you may.
Officer Broussard, were you wearing a body worn camera when you were called to the scene this day?
Yes, ma'am. Was.
And are you a competent operator of such camera?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it working properly to your knowledge at that time?
Yes, ma'am. Was.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize this?
I signed and dated it yesterday.
And did you review?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this?
Oh, that's my body camera footage from the day of the incident.
And does this fairly and accurately represent what happened on July 13th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I tender to defense State's Exhibit 2 for inspection and ask that it be admitted.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. This, definitely hearsay, there's hearsay within this, there's hearsay within hearsay here that, definitely prejudiced in my mind.
Okay. Let me do this here. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, I'm gonna ask that you step down from the jury box and follow the bailiff into the hallway. They have to take care of the matter outside of your presence. You gonna re-urge her motion? I mean, she gonna re-urge the offer, yeah. Exhibit. You may be seated. Okay, Ms. Gasper, like to proceed?
This time I'd like to re-offer State's Exhibit 2 in evidence.
Any
No
objection?
objection, Your Honor.
Okay, no objection. State's exhibit number 2 will be admitted.
Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes, you may.
There's a guy in the driver's seat. He looks like he's asleep. Hey, man. Hey, man, can you roll the windows down for me? All of them passengers out too? Can you get, go ahead and get out of the car for me, man? Yeah, go ahead, step out for me, man. Man, hey, step out. Step out for me. You all right today, man? Come step to the back of the car for me. Go ahead. Pencils. You got any in your pockets that you know down there?
I got my left pocket.
Left pocket? All right, just keep your hands up there for me now. You mind if I search you? Okay. Who you doing sitting there, bud?
Phone.
Where you coming from?
Where
Where you coming from?
Oh,
Trevor, like, are you getting off work or?
going to work
Okay. You been drinking tonight?
last night.
Last night? Yeah, I quit there and run back, man. You got anything in the car you know about? Nothing?
I would tell you.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. No, yeah, I got it all. Just keep your hands on the car, don't reach on down there. Yeah, got you.
John Soul,
Uh-huh.
John, Jay, Hank, Bob, Dad.
Mm-hmm. All right, none to never need to worry about, none like that? Uh-huh.
So you know I am now.
All right, man, you seem intoxicated to me, so I'm gonna give you, 3 basic tests. You gotta comply with those tests.
I'm on the bed, but they're dead.
What?
I was ready, but they're dead. I had a traumatic brain injury.
Uh-huh.
Had a butt clot.
Okay, so you're gonna take the test, or you refusing to take it? You're refusing? Okay, go ahead. All right, put your hands on your throat. Okay. Can you put your left hand? Gonna leave you right here, man. Play with the guy. Yeah, man, well, you seem intoxicated to me. You got 2 ugly containers in the car. You passed, whose house? Huh? You don't know? Said you going to work? You got a license on you? In the car? Huh? I'm asking if you have a driver's license. No? What's your name, man? Cody, what's your last name? Cody Williams? Cody with the C or K? Okay, what's your date of birth? 2/27/85. Where you live, Cody?
Right now,
Yeah,
Lake Charles,
Lake Charles?
born in, Wayne, Texas. Over the,
Okay, is your license gonna be from Louisiana, or Texas? Louisiana, okay?
I'm not saying, it's going to be good.
So we might not have that time to wait on. Do you have a preference? Somebody say so? Maybe somebody that's been hurt. So I can get you next time perfect.
On the next on purpose?
John, it's going to be.
4:30. Can we get the next on purpose record?
I think y'all 3,800 more.
10:40.
Hey, Michael, go ahead and set him down in the back.
Okay,
Second, first, you make sure everything that you got on,
yes, sir.
just like.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we're placing you on arrest for, driving while intoxicated and, well, the ugly tire just with tickets. You understand? Okay. Can you follow me?
You know, you know, we're not road.
Okay. You're on, so. Thank you, do I take you for your pass?
Check, I'm showing Lisa's home MTC.
Yeah, nothing in your shoes or anything like that, man?
I'll take them off, we're going to, I'll take them off. Should be there. I'll take them off.
You mind not taking your watch or your necklace off? I'm gonna put it in the bag, we'll get back to you later, okay? You got any other jewelry or anything like that on there? All right,
I'll put you on my kid,
Okay. You can go ahead and take a seat for me, man. I'll help you in.
Alright, I'll verify the
Hold on, let me double lock these for you.
And let me ask you, you're either 19 or what? Right, you bring it off that, whatever y'all can, it's gotta be complete.
Got it? Watch your head. Alright. Action up there. Yeah, I see some beer cans there. Okay. For an offense arise. Hey man, you up? I gotta read this to you. You alright back here? Good. Alright. You're under arrest for an offense arising out of acts alleged to have committed while you were operating a motor vehicle in a public space or a watercraft while intoxicated or on an offense under section 106.041 alcohol beverage code. You will be asked to give a specimen of your breath and or blood. The specimen will be analyzed to determine the alcohol concentration or the presence of a controlled substance, drug, dangerous drug, or other substance in your body. If you refuse to give a specimen, that refusal may be admissible in a subsequent prosecution. Your license, permit, or privilege to operate a motor vehicle will be suspended or denied for not less than 180 days, whether or not you are subsequently prosecuted for this offense. If you refuse to submit to the taking of a specimen, the officer may apply for a warrant authorizing a specimen to be taken from you. If you are 21 years of age or older and submit to the taking of a specimen, an analysis of a specimen shows that you have alcohol concentration of 0.08 or more, your license, permit, or privilege to operate a motor vehicle will be suspended or denied for not less than 90 days, whether or not you are subsequently prosecuted for this offense. If you are younger than 21 years of age and have any detectable amount of alcohol in your system, your license, permit, or privilege to operate a motor vehicle will be suspended or denied for not less than 60 days. However, if you submit to the taking of a specimen and an analysis of the specimen shows that you have alcohol concentration of less than 0.08, you may subject to criminal penalties less severe than those provided for under chapter 49 of the penal code. If you were operating a motor vehicle and you refuse to give a specimen or provide a specimen that shows you have alcohol concentration of 0.08 or more, you may be disqualified from driving a commercial motor vehicle for a period of not less than 1 year. You may request a hearing of the suspension or denial. This request must be received from the Texas Department of Public Safety at its headquarters in Austin, Texas, no later than 15 days after you receive or are presumed to have received notice of suspension or denial. The request can be by written demand, fax, and other form prescribed by the department. I certify I have informed you orally and in writing of the consequences of refusing to submit to the taking of specimen or providing a specimen. I have provided you with a complete and true copy of such order. I am now requesting a specimen of your blood. Are you gonna allow me to do that? No? You sure? Okay. Okay.
Don't even know why I was stopped, why you already know. Search my vehicle, I can't go to sleep.
All right, well, since you didn't, okay, well, since you refuse, I'm gonna need you to sign underneath here. Are you refusing to sign also? Okay,
I'm on video right now. I told you, search my vehicle with everything.
you no sign and blood.
No, nothing. You don't find that.
Man, don't get the blood one. No, sir.
So Officer Broussard, could you just briefly explain to the jury what that is that you were reading?
So what I was reading was the DIC 24 form. When you're arrested for driving while intoxicated, you have to read it. It basically says you are being arrested for allegedly driving while drunk. And it asks you for if you wish to give consent for your breath and or blood sample to be given.
And did he give you consent for breath or blood sample?
No, maybe not.
He refused.
Yes, ma'am.
Have a little bit more I'd like to show you.
What happened? Why was that like this and TBI? TBI. When I first got my car, they had a traumatic brain injury a couple years ago. That's why he was acting like this and why he refused the test. So he just wanted me to make sure. Traumatic brain injury, man. Traumatic brain injury, right? Yeah, what happened? What happened to you? You got jumped? Like, you got jumped in high school? This was in high school? How long ago was it? 2009? Birthday date five? How old are you now? Okay, 35.
Hard at the end of that video, I know it's a little hard to hear and I apologize, but there was, discussion of you and the defendant speaking about a traumatic brain injury. When did that occur?
He told me that it occurred in high school.
So not recent.
No,
In your training and experience, is an older injury like that something that would cause a continuing medical emergency?
Object, Your Honor. I'm gonna have to object to that on that question. If he's not an expert, he doesn't have a medical degree, he's not qualified to expand on none of that.
Your Honor, I'm only asking in his training experience and the field that he's worked in, is this something that he's seen in his experience?
Objection sustained.
Officer, in your training and experience, based on your training and experience and the DWIs that you've worked, did you believe that there was an ongoing medical emergency in this case?
No,
So after you read the DIC 24 and y'all were transporting the defendant, where were you going at this point?
we began en route to Jefferson County Correctional Facility.
And that's the jail.
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you doing then? What were you doing at the jail?
I had to fill out a blood warrant,
And why did you have to fill out a blood warrant?
because he refused the DIC 24.
And what is the purpose of a blood warrant?
To get a specimen of his, of alcohol content in his blood.
And did you obtain a blood warrant?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do after that?
After that, we went to the nurses station at the jail, and a jail nurse performed a blood draw for us.
And how did you know that that jail nurse was a nurse?
The nurse has the jail has a medical facility there. She gave us her badge and qualifications.
And were those qualifications a registered nurse or an LVN nurse?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that the sample was collected at the jail in the medical facility.
Yes, ma'am.
And was that a sterile and clean environment where the blood sample was collected?
I object again. This is hearsay, and it's implied through the line of questioning that he had the knowledge of whether that facility was sterile or the procedures they went through. That he handed off that sample. He's not completely qualified to talk about that.
Your Honor, if I may, he's testified personal experience. He was at the jail. He does this continuing during all DWI investigations. It is his experience to go inside the jail and witness a clean and sterile environment. Not only that, he has further testimony that'll suggest just why that is clean and sterile.
Now, what was your question again?
I believe I asked Officer Broussard if the blood draw was done in a sterile and clean environment at the jail.
Yeah, I always say that a sterile environment, I mean, you're getting into laboratory techs and stuff like that. He's a police officer, I understand, but I think this is more about the actual tech.
Okay, I must sustain the objection.
Your Honor, can we take a brief recess to address something outside of the jury?
Yes. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a recess. Please follow the bailiff into the hallway. Everyone, please stand. Okay, you may be seated. Let the record reflect that we're back in session in cause number M 330-658. Case of style of state of Texas versus Cody Clinton Williams. Let the record reflect that Mr. Williams is present in court with his attorney. Attorney Giles Cole, state is present with Assistant Criminal District Attorneys, Attorney Haley Simmons, and Attorney Kyle Gasper. Let the record also reflect that the jury is now present and seated in the court. Ms. Gasper, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Broussard, when the blood draw was performed at the jail, were you in the room?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you observe the entirety of that process?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you observe the nurse prepare for the blood draw?
Yes.
Did you observe the nurse clean the area that the blood draw was going to be taken from on the defendant?
Yes.
And after she cleaned that area, did you observe the blood draw take place?
Yes.
After the blood was taken, what happened with it?
She sealed it, then handed off to me. I then shook it because there's a preservative in the blood vial. To keep that, and then I placed it in a, we call it a blood kit.
May I approach?
Yes, you may.
What is marked as State's Exhibit 3, do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
That is the blood kit that I placed the defendant's blood in.
How do you recognize this specifically?
I marked on it and I brought it here.
Are there any identifying marks that would be able to have you identify that as the blood kit from this case?
My name and date of the original blood draw is on.
And that's your name as Officer Broussard?
Yes.
And where did you take this kit after you were given it?
Brought us to the station to log in and then placed it in our freezer.
And is that freezer secure?
Yes.
And is that where you keep blood kits as part of your routine practice?
Yes.
And did you leave it there?
Yes.
Has it been tampered with in any manner?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Cole, you may proceed.
I'm good, sir. How are you?
How soon, after you left the incident, well, the scene there, did you make your police report?
How soon did I make it?
Yes.
I'm not entirely sure. But it was the same day.
Same day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you some questions. Is it true that nowhere in your report do you mention the car running?
Can I refer to my report?
Got it for you right here.
So this is my probable cause affidavit, not my police report.
I'll get you a police report.
I have a copy of it in front of me.
Take a look at it.
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. In the second paragraph, third sentence, I mentioned the car was running. Can I answer?
The keys were in the ignition.
I say the card, you want me to show you?
Yes, please.
We realized the car was running.
Okay. Wait.
Yes,
Wait.
sir.
There you put this back. On that video, you asked him to roll that woman down about 4 times, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was an electric vehicle, is that also correct? Could you tell?
Like electric, like battery powered?
Well, he couldn't roll the windows.
I wasn't sure that.
He wasn't sure.
No, sir.
Okay. You asked me to replay the video? I'll replay the video.
I don't need to see the video
Yeah,
again.
see the video. Okay. Well, I asked it another way. If it was not an electric vehicle, how else could he get the windows down? He would have to crank it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So did you observe him cranking the window down?
No, sir.
Okay. And you also couldn't see inside those windows, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's why I asked them to roll the windows down.
I'm not a police officer, but how were you able to tell that that car was running?
The sound of the engine.
Well, I just listened to that video and the jury's gonna get a chance. I didn't hear the car turn off. I saw him. You didn't mention nothing about the car being on, but I think it was the other officer that said, hey, the key's in the ignition. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Briefly, Your Honor.
When you first approached the vehicle, did you hear the car running?
Yes,
And it was running as you were approaching it?
yes,
At any point, did you hear it turn on? It was on when you got there?
yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
yes, you may.
Show you again what I have previously marked as State's Exhibit 3. I'm going to open this box for you and show you what's been labeled as 3A. And 3B. What is in this box?
2 tubes of the defendant's blood.
And are those the tubes that you mentioned earlier that you shook to? I don't remember your exact wording, but you shook a tube. Were those, is what that one of those tubes that's in this box?
Yes.
And are there any identifying marks on these tubes?
Yes, ma'am, there should be on it. Um, the actual tube, yes, ma'am.
And those are marked?
Yes.
Does that mark go with the marks, the identifying marks that are on State's Exhibit 3?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know that that is identified as going with the blood kit in State's Exhibit 3?
It has the defendant's name, my name, and the nurse's information who drew the blood.
You mentioned earlier in your testimony that you had asked the defendant where he was coming from and going to. Do you remember what the defendant said, where he was leaving from and going to?
I believe he said it was either coming from or going to work.
Okay, and where was that? Did you know?
No, I was not sure.
Did you know which direction he was heading?
He was heading into, further into Pleasure Island.
So into the state of
Yes.
Texas and leaving Louisiana.
Yes.
Nothing further, Judge.
Mr. Cole?
So I'm assuming that you drafted your probable cause affidavit first, and then your police report, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then your first draft of your probable cause affidavit, you don't mention nowhere about the car being owned, is that correct?
Can I look to see if I have a number?
I'm sure.
So, can you repeat your question?
And then affidavit, you mention anywhere in there that the car was running,
Yes, sir, I do.
where do you see that at?
This third sentence with the engine still running out in the.
Yeah, that needs glass. Sorry about that, folks. Quick question.
May this witness state, do you have any questions?
Nothing further from the state.
Okay, defense,
He's ready.
he may be excused?
Yes, he can.
Okay. Officer Broussard, thank you for your testimony. You are free to go, and you have a blessed day. You're welcome. State, you can call your next witness.
State calls Joanna Castaneda.
Joanna Castaneda.
Yes.
Castaneda, would you please come forward? Ms. Castaneda, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Castaneda, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Ms. Castaneda, you may put your hand down, you can take the witness stand, and you could adjust the chair and the mic. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Afternoon, Ms. Castaneda. How are you doing? Can you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, Joanna Aida Castellano.
And I'm just gonna ask you to just speak a little bit slower so that the court reporter can get everything down. Thank you. Now, what is your current occupation?
Currently employed as a chemist at the Customs and Border Protection in Houston, Texas, under the Southwestern Regional Science Center.
And in 2021, were you working there?
December 2021.
Where did you work before that?
Prior to that, I was working at Jefferson County Regional Crime Lab.
And what were your duties at the Jefferson County Regional Crime Lab?
At the Jefferson County Regional Crime Lab, I was a forensic scientist too. Mainly focused on testing seized drugs and also assisting with crime scene processing. And prior to my departure, I was actually signed off to work blood alcohol casework.
And what specific training have you received in the area of blood alcohol casework?
specifically to blood alcohol, in-house training that included me reading over different training modules, as well as shadowing a qualified blood alcohol toxicologist who worked casework. And then I was given a competency exam that included both a practical and written portion. And then the casework that I tested after that, I actually did have someone supervise it as well.
And did you receive a license as a blood alcohol toxicologist?
At the time, yes.
When did you hold that license?
You want the specific dates?
Yes, if you,
Can I refer to my notes?
yes, you may, if it'll refresh your memory, yes.
Blood alcohol toxicology. That was July 12th of 2021 through September 23 of 2021.
And those trainings that you mentioned, was that the only training that you had to do to get licensed, or was there anything else that you did as well?
In addition to the license?
Mhm.
Yes, I also participated in a virtual training, due to the pandemic at the time. And that was a blood alcohol course given by Indiana University. They call it the working science course.
Now, have you testified as an expert in the area of chemistry before?
Yes,
Has that been on few or many occasions?
I say few.
Now, was the laboratory, the Jefferson County Crime Lab, was that an accredited lab at the time in 2021? May I approach?
Yes, you may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3. Do you recognize this? You can look it over if you need to. Yes, you do recognize that? And how do you recognize that box?
It has the unique Jefferson County Regional Crime Lab case number that was generated, as well as my initials.
And you mentioned a case number. How is the case number unique to each case?
It's auto-generated based on the number submitted for the crime lab. So essentially, they start at, I'm not sure where they started, but I'm going there for about 2 years, but essentially it'll just keep running numerically.
And what condition was this in when you received it? Is it in the same or similar condition?
Yes.
How is it stored at your lab?
At the laboratory, there are the freezers that are temperature dependent. And so there's weekly checks to ensure that the temperatures remain consistent, as well as an internal alarm. So if they fluctuate out of that range, the laboratory personnel are alerted.
And could you explain to the jury why it's important that these types of kits be stored in freezers?
The samples themselves, they need to be, they are temperature dependent, in terms of minimizing any microbial growth, as well as, ensuring that no, ethanol is lost.
And are those freezers a secure environment?
Correct.
I'm gonna go ahead and open up what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3 and show you what's inside. We'll start with 3A. Can you tell me what this is?
I think it contains a, blood tube.
You may open it if you'd like.
Okay.
Judge, can we have some gloves? Thank you. What is that?
The blood sample that I notated as 1A for this case, this is the one that I,
And does that correspond with your identifying number that's on the box?
correct.
You want to refer to the other one, which has been marked as State's Exhibit 3B. What is that?
This is the second two that was also submitted, in this case.
And is there an identifying number on that?
Correct.
And does that identifying number match the identifying number on states 3A and on the box on states
Correct.
3? Now, as part of your process, did you analyze the contents of the blood to determine its alcohol content?
Yes.
And what scientific process did you use to make that determination?
I used a headspace gas chromatogram, flame ionization detector.
If you could, would you explain kind of what that is so that we can all be on the same page?
Sure. So essentially, we take a small sample of the blood, add it to an internal standard inside a vial. And so this is essentially heated up, pressurized. In this case, since it is ethanol that we're taking into account, it is a volatile, meaning it'll easily vaporize. And so upon heated up, the gas phases of that ethanol go into the headspace. And once it reaches equilibrium with the liquid state, it's injected into the GC portion, the gas chromatogram of the instrument. And essentially there, its different chemical components are separated as it goes through these capillary thin columns. Upon that, and then goes into the flame ionization detector where the hydrocarbons of the ethanol are heated up and given an electrical charge. And so that's what's detected by the instrument. And that gives us our data essentially. The result.
And are there protocols in place to make sure that the machine is calibrated properly?
Yes.
Could you explain those protocols briefly?
Sure. So initially we will do what's called a calibration curve. And that essentially contains, for us, we do 6 known ethanol concentrations run on this instrument. And so we know what to expect, what results we should expect for those, for that linear curve. And then we'll run our actual batch, which contains our case samples. And that also contains quality controls at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. And those quality controls also contain known ethanol samples, so we know what to expect. And then within each case sample, we'll also throw in, we call them ethanol blanks, and essentially those are 0.08 ethanol concentration, so as well we know what to expect. And so these are just extra checks that we'll include in there just to ensure there's no carryover from one case to another, not that there would be, but more so extra quality controls to ensure that the instrument is working properly, not just at the beginning, but also in the middle and at the end.
And at the time that you tested this sample in states 3A, was the instrument working properly?
Correct.
And did you follow the protocol in your lab for testing blood using this instrument?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I would tender states 3, states 3A, and states 3B to the defense for inspection and ask that it be admitted in evidence.
No objection.
Okay, no objection, states exhibits 3, states exhibit 3A, and states exhibit 3B are admitted. You may proceed.
In the course of your training, have you learned about the physical effects of alcohol upon the human body?
Yes.
Did you generate a report as part of your work on this case?
Correct.
Was this report made at the time that you were working on this case?
Upon completion of it.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, you may.
And you know it's been marked as States Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is the blood alcohol report that's generated after our analysis is concluded.
And is this the report that you generated after this, after testing the sample that was in 3A?
Yes.
And how do you know that that is this report?
It has our unique laboratory number on it, as well as my signature, as well as the agency's case number as well.
Your Honor, at this time, I would offer States 4 into evidence pending inspection from the defense.
No objection, states exhibit 4 is admitted.
back what's been marked as State's Exhibit 4. Now, what was the result of your testing on this?
In this case, 0.172 grams of ethanol per 100 mils of whole blood.
Now, is that 0.172, is that above the 0.08 legal limit in the state of Texas? Based on your experience and training, excuse me, and the results of this blood test, do you have an opinion as to whether the defendant was intoxicated at the time of the incident?
He was intoxicated at the time of the draw.
At the time of the draw? Nothing further to pass the witness.
Mr. Cole?
How you doing, ma'am? I have a question for you. They drew the blood from his veins, is that correct?
I cannot testify to the blood draw wasn't there.
Okay, I'll ask it another way. If it was taken out the veins, is it possible that the blood alcohol content would be different than that which is flowing through his arteries?
I'm not a licensed medical doctor, so I do not want to talk about that.
Is it a possibility?
Again, I'm not a licensed medical doctor.
No further question for this.
Ms. Gasper?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Okay. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, excuse me.
Okay, Ms. Castaneda, thank you for your testimony. You're free to go and you have a blessed day. State, you can call your next witness.
State restaurant.
Okay, the state rest. Mr.
I'd
Cole,
like to call Cody Williams to the stand, Your Honor.
okay. Well, let's do this here before you call him. Gonna take a 10-minute break. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, would you please follow the bailiff out into the hallway? Okay, court being reset. Mr. Court. Okay, everyone may be seated. Court is back in session at cause number M 330-658. Case is filed in the state of Texas versus Cody Clinton Williams. Mr. Williams is present in court with his attorney, Attorney Giles Cole. State is present with Assistant Criminal District Attorneys, Attorney Haley Simmons and Attorney Kyle Gasper. Let the record also reflect that the jury is now present and seated in the courtroom. State, you rested, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cole, would you like to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to call Cody Williams this day.
Mr. Williams, would you please come forward? Okay, Mr. Williams, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Williams, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may put your hand down, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, you may take the witness stand, and you can adjust the mic in the chair. Mr. Cole, you may proceed.
Cody, state your name loud and clear for the record. State your name loud and clear for the record.
Cody Clinton Williams.
Mr. Williams, will you mind telling the jury where you were coming from and where you were going on that day in question? Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Start with where you were coming from.
Cameron, Louisiana.
And why were you coming from Cameron, Louisiana?
I was at work with Kiewit at Cameron LNG.
What time did you go to work?
7:30 in the evening,
What time did you get off?
5:30.
In the morning?
Yes, sir.
And where did you go immediately afterwards?
Get on the bus in Cameron, or drive the bus, Cameron to Lake Charles. My rent house was in Lake Charles. So I had to get my car in Lake Charles. Then left Lake Charles on my way to Port Arthur, Texas.
And why were you going to Port Arthur, Texas?
Going to meet my best friend, was going fishing in Port Arthur.
Okay. And what happened to the fishing trip?
As I left Hackberry, going on down to Holly Beach, take a ride on the beach, call my friend, he said, man, me and my wife are having problems.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Oh,
What's your response?
I'm the problem with that, John.
Okay, objection sustained. Now, you go,
Cody, while we do
Proceed.
this, don't talk about what anybody else told you, okay? Keep it straight with what you know. And you get to know this issue. And you go with that?
good,
So you were going on a fishing trip.
that's right,
Fishing trip is canceled.
yes.
Now, you had some beer in your vehicle. When did you decide that you wanted to grab some beer?
When I pulled over, take a nap,
Before you pulled over to take a nap?
went it out,
When did you pull over? When did you stop and get your beer? Where in your route did you stop and get the beer?
in Hackberry,
Okay. And why did you grab the beer?
take it fishing,
And when you found out you wasn't going fishing, what did you decide to do?
pull over,
All right. Were you tired on the way driving from Louisiana to Texas?
I've been at work all night and Yeah. You know I was tired.
And in fact, did you tell the officer you were sleeping when he came to your window?
Yes, sir, I did.
Now, the jury had an opportunity to observe you here, and they noticed that you were limping.
Yes, sir.
And would you mind telling them exactly what you were diagnosed with and how it happened?
I would love to.
Go ahead.
Well, I've had a traumatic brain injury. See, it's a trigonotomy. I was in a coma for 28 days. When y'all see me with my limp, it's the drop foot syndrome. Because I've been in a coma. I think some of y'all probably know what that is. And when they asked me about the test, I refused it. And y'all heard me tell you, I've had a traumatic brain injury.
Hold on. I know you're gonna get your point across, but don't talk so fast and keep it to where we're trying to go with. You had a brain tumor, a brain injury.
Brain injury, a traumatic
Okay.
brain injury.
And how did that affect your leg?
Drop foot syndrome. My right ankle don't work. I have to swing it.
Okay. Could you come over here for me, please?
Yes, sir. It's not prosthetic. I mean, it's there. Balance ain't real good.
Please have a seat. So you're heading to Texas, you're sleepy, you find out you're not going fishing, you're grab beer and hackberry, and now you decide you're gonna pull over. And why did you pick that place?
It wasn't on the state highway. It was off on somebody's driveway. I wasn't on the state highway where somebody could pull over, run into me.
So what you're telling the jury is that you picked the safest place you could to get some rest.
Thank you for understanding.
Now, you heard testimony in here that your car was running.
No, it was not.
Hold on, I believe you. But I'm gonna go back and let you be on. Your Honor, is it okay if I get to the
Yes,
video?
you
You got it?
You try out, Simone. When you heard them knock on that window, what did you do?
Woke up,
And then what'd you do?
reached in the console, got my keys out, put them in the ignition so I could roll the window down so I could see who it was.
So you didn't know who it was?
No,
What were your feelings when you heard them knock on the door?
well, it's kind of startled me, when they're asleep. And wake up, who and what is this?
Now, let's backtrack a little bit. What'd you do with the beer? You went and bought beer and hackberry, found out you weren't gonna drink it with your buddy. What did you do with it?
What beer?
The beer that you bought in hackberry that was found in your car, what did you do with that beer? Did you drink it, Corey?
I think there was one in the console. It must have been in the trunk. I didn't see it in the car when it was video.
So you did drink some beer in the car?
I had that one in there.
And you done this while the car was parked?
Yeah, sitting right there.
You didn't crack those beers open while you was on the road?
No,
So go ahead and, tell them from that point forward, once you realize that police are knocking on your window, you decided to do what with it? Did you go with them?
but y'all seen it. I rolled up and down. They said, roll them down. I rolled them all down. I said, and y'all heard the video. They said, search it. I said, I don't have nothing to hide. Search all you want. And then I got out, and then y'all heard me tell you, I've had a traumatic brain injury. I'm not walking for y'all because y'all gonna think I'm drunk. And that's why I'm here right now, because of my little old gimp.
Okay,
You know?
hold on, Cody, hold on.
And y'all forgive me now, because I get to talking.
All right. That's it.
Ms. Simmons, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Williams, how are you?
Great.
First and foremost, I want to apologize for your injury you sustained. You said you sustained that in 2009.
Yes,
Okay, well, I'm truly sorry to hear that.
thank you.
I want to ask you a few questions while we're here today. Okay? You said you were working in Cameron, Louisiana, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You got off at 5:30 in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
And about how long does it take you when you're getting off from Cameron to get into a bus and get back to Lake Charles?
Hour and a half.
About an hour and a half, so is that immediately from 5:30, let's say you make it back at 7 AM?
Not immediately.
You know what time you made it back to Lake Charles?
So let y'all around at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
About 7:30, 8 AM. Okay. You testified after that you were going on a fishing trip with a buddy, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Fishing trip got canceled?
Yes, ma'am.
Still decided to go grab some beer?
I already had
You already had the beer? Where'd you get the beer at?
Hackberry,
Where's Hackberry?
Brown's Grocery.
Okay.
And
Where's
Hackberry was down
Hackberry? Where's Hackberry in relation to Lake Charles?
about 20 miles
About 20 miles? You know about how long it took you to get there?
from Lake Charles to Sulphur, Hackberry,
Not Sulphur, Hackberry.
from where?
How long did it take you to get from Lake Charles? 'Cause
Hackberry,
correct me if I'm wrong, earlier you testified with your counsel, you said after you left Lake Charles, you went to Hackberry, and that's where you got the beer.
that's right,
Okay, how long did it take you to get from Lake Charles to Hackberry?
30 minutes.
About 30 minutes, so let's say we're about 9 AM.
That's
Okay. Is Hackberry out of the way coming into Port Arthur?
on the way.
It's on the way?
I'm coming from Louisiana, coming down Highway 27, all the way to Holly Beach. You go through Hackberry, Holly Beach.
Okay, so you get to Hackberry at 9 AM,
Give or take.
give or take? Okay. After that, after you're in Hackberry, you drive straight into Port Arthur?
Hackberry down to Holly Beach, take a right to go from Cameron to Port Arthur.
Tell me about the time frame you came into Port Arthur then. You know?
I'm
You
gonna say
recall?
this is probably around, what, 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning?
But you were in Hackberry at 9 AM.
9:30, 10 o'clock. Hackberry,
You're telling me you get to Port Arthur from Hackberry in 30 minutes.
Port Arthur, Hackberry in 30 minutes? No,
From Hackberry to Port Arthur, how long?
I'm talking about an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half. So what time did you get into Jefferson County in Port Arthur?
July 13th of 2021. I'd say it's probably what, 10 o'clock? I'm not real for sure.
Takes an hour and a half, your testimony, to get from Hackberry to Port Arthur. You're telling me you're in Hackberry around 9 AM. But you made it to Port Arthur at 10. Did you stop anywhere else? Is there anywhere else you went?
Around the grocery store.
How long were you sleeping in your vehicle right here?
I don't have any time. I don't know how long I was asleep in my car. I don't know.
Is it normal for you to pull over on the side of the road and sleep for, let's say, you're saying 10 AM? Officers responded at 5. You just pull over and sleep for 7 hours?
That's what time I was there, 5 AM,
5 PM.
5 PM.
You're telling me you made it here around 10 AM. You just pull over and sleep for 7 hours.
Now, that don't make no sense. We all
I
know
agree.
that. I mean, come on.
I agree, it
This
does
is
not make
in
sense.
21, we're in 25, okay?
I understand that. I understand. I understand your frustration. I agree, it does not make sense. That's why I'm asking you. You're telling me you made it to Port Arthur at 10 AM. Officers respond at 5 PM. Mr. Ayler came in and testified to calling dispatch in the evening and having observed you. You heard that, correct?
Yes, I heard what he had to say.
You heard the dispatch call play?
Yes.
You heard that your vehicle never left his line of vision.
That's
Did you
what he
hear
said.
that?
He said I was driving all over the
Did you
road.
hear that?
Yeah, I hear him.
Did you hear Mr. Ayler, our first witness, testify that your vehicle never left his line of vision?
I heard him say,
Did you further hear that he never left the scene upon arrival?
he never left the scene.
We were all here, he testified, he stayed on scene until officers got there, is that right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Let me ask you this, say you pull over and let's say you really slept for 7 hours. You bought 6-pack, 12-pack, what'd you buy in Hackberry?
Probably a 6-pack.
6-pack? You saying you drank one?
Well, I knew there was one right there in the console. I mean, I was not real for sure.
That's why I'm
Okay.
asking you questions and get to the bottom of it. Officer Broussard testified earlier, and I'm sure you heard him, he saw several. You heard that,
I
correct?
heard that.
Does it surprise you that he found beer cans in the back left floorboard, in the back right floorboard, and the door pockets, all open?
Yeah, that
All
does kind
empty?
of surprise me. I mean,
Why would it
I
come as a
didn't see, I
surprise?
seen the video, I didn't see no pictures, no beer cans, I heard what he said, but I didn't see no video. We all seen the video, I didn't see beer cans laying everywhere, did y'all see them? 'Cause I didn't.
Let's stay right here with me, okay? Let's respond to the questions asked, please. July 13th, 2020, it's been a while, right?
Hot minute,
You familiar with Southeast Texas and the weather?
yes, I am,
How hot is it in July in Southeast Texas?
about 120.
You don't want to be in a vehicle with the windows rolled up with no AC, claiming your car's off, do you?
Well, that don't make no sense, does it?
I agree. There's a lot that doesn't make sense. So you refuse standardized field sobriety testing, correct?
Yes, I
And
did,
you're claiming it's from your injury.
yes, I confused that,
Okay.
but I did
That's
ask
your
for a
right.
breathalyzer.
That's your right. Let's just answer the questions asked, okay? We're gonna get there. We're gonna go down the line here. Officer Broussard, he then later asked you, he read the DIC 24. Correct? You remember that? We played it a little bit. Okay. After he read that, he asked if you want to consent to a blood draw. And you refused that as well.
Yes, I did,
After that, you tell me, you were there. You were transferred immediately to the jail. Is that right?
yeah, put me in cuffs, took me to jail,
Put you in cuffs and took you to jail.
Yep.
You got there and your blood was drawn.
cops come there full of tasers on me.
Just the questions
Okay,
asked,
and I
just the
did.
questions asked, objection and not responsive, Your Honor.
Objection sustained. Only answer the questions that she asked, okay? You may
We're
proceed.
gonna go down the line, okay?
Sorry,
You're fine. So we're at the jail, blood's drawn. You heard from Michael Ayler, who observed you from the time that he was at the top of the bridge, elevated, seeing you swerving, to the point where he even testified, and the dispatch call told you, he saw you pull it in park. He stayed there from the time you were parked in that spot until officers arrived. You heard all of that?
yes, I heard what he said.
You heard Officer Broussard come in and testify as to the fact that you refused the SFSTs and the blood, correct?
Heard
Do you recall when Ms. Joanna Castaneda came in and she testified regarding the blood? Did you hear her tell you that the blood results were 0.172?
I heard what she said,
Are you aware that the Texas legal limit is 0.0808?
08, yes,
How many beers did you have in that vehicle?
1,
Can you explain the other opened?
no, I can't,
You realize upon arrest, an inventory is taken of your vehicle, correct?
yes,
Okay. There was no finding of a 6-pack. Just those 3 open empty cans. What happened to the rest of them?
I didn't throw them out going down the highway, so they must have been there, or I put them in my trunk. I don't know.
You realize the trunk is inventoried as well. Just a spare tire found in that truck. What happened to the other? Did you stop anywhere from the point in time when you left Hackberry and came in Port Arthur? Did you go anywhere else?
No,
It's your testimony that you did in fact drive over the Causeway Bridge, correct? To come into Port Arthur?
yes,
Okay. How long were you sleeping in that vehicle, Mr. Williams?
apparently a couple hours.
Apparently, or you were.
I don't know.
I can replay the video right here, and it's your testimony. When officers arrived, they ask you what you were doing, and you tell them you were on the phone. You want me to play that for you?
I've seen it. I remember calling my friend. I remember calling him.
But you talked to him earlier. Your testimony was earlier when he called and told you it was canceled.
That's right.
How long were you on the phone with him when you called him again?
Not for sure. Probably 30, 45 minutes. I don't know.
You understand this is odd, right? To pull into a random driveway and just park up and drink beer?
You see where it got me, huh?
Is there something you're not telling the jury? Did you stop somewhere else?
I did not stop nowhere else.
We have a real witness that identified you and stayed with your vehicle from the point in time you were driving down the Causeway Bridge and parked right in this location until officers arrived at 5:07 p.m. Your vehicle never left his sight. You understand that, correct? Do you understand that?
That's what he said.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Cole?
Cody, you were extremely tired that day, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
Okay. Mr. Okay, Mr. Williams, you may step down. And the defense has rested,
Yes, correct.
okay? State, do you have a rebuttal?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. We still having computer problems.
Huh?
We won't be able to do the choice. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, both the state and the defense have rested their cases. And what we would have to do, the court has to prepare a charge, and we will have what is called a charge conference. Obviously, and after we have the charge conference, then the case, the state and the defense would have an opportunity to do their closing arguments, and after the closing arguments, then the case will be given to you, the jury. Now, so that will not be done today, and we're gonna ask that you be back tomorrow. Let's say at 1:30, because we're gonna have the charge conference at like 1 o'clock. We had a charge conference at 1 o'clock. All right, so you'll need to be back at 1:30 on tomorrow. And again, just have a seat outside the courtroom, and then when the bailiff is ready, she'll come and get you. Okay, so at this time, you're excused for the evening. Please stand as the jury exit the courtroom. Okay. The court will be in recess. Okay, and this will conclude the calling of this case for today. County Court Number 2, Judge Terrence Holmes presiding. Everyone, please have a blessed day.
Hold on.